Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us. Hope your Saturday is starting off well. May the 31st, 2025, and we are live here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show down at WCCO, downtown Minneapolis, every Saturday morning for your questions, comments, thoughts. Show is hosted by Mr. Mike. That is Mike Overson of Luminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We appreciate you wherever you're catching us from and welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. Mr. Scott, good to see you, buddy. Welcome back. Your health is doing a little better. I'm happy to see that, bud.
Yeah, good to be back. I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks. Never fun. I think you get in your 50s, things start to fall apart a little bit. So just had a little procedure done. So good to be back. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're going to go live here in just a minute or so, talking everything real estate and mortgage as it's related to the Twin City market. Kind of what's happening, what we think is going to happen in the future. And we love your questions. It is an active show. So please write in your comments and questions on Facebook or any of the social media, and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, here we go. We're going live on air. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for joining us. Saturday, May the 31st, 2025. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show every Saturday morning here at WCCO, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We appreciate you joining us. Last day of May, we're in the spring market, spring entering summer market here, real estate market in the Twin Cities. And we welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. 612-294-6949, 612-294-6949. It comes right to us in studio. And Scott, it's good to have you back, bud. I know you had a couple little physical things going on. Good to have you back and in full health.
Yeah, good to be back. I spent a little time in the hospital with a procedure done. I'd like to give shout outs to the folks at Abbott that did the procedure. They did a great job. Great hospital, super good care. If you ever find yourself in a situation that I was in, you'll be happy if you're with them. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, and like Ryan said, we are going to talk about everything real estate related. Kind of what's going on right now. I mean, what's going on in the market as we currently have it. What we think is going to happen with some pretty good economic news coming out. How's that going to affect interest rates? How's that going to affect the overall home market? Wages have gone up. Lots of good things are occurring. And how is that going to affect the market? We'll talk a little bit about that today. Please shoot your questions in. If you are on listening to us on the radio, 612-294-6949. If you're following us on any of the social media outlets, just go ahead and type your questions in and we'll handle them as they come in.
Yeah, again, it is last day of May. It's going to be warm here this weekend. Hopefully you can get out on the lake, head up to the cabins, doing something fun. Scott, first segment, we always like to dive in. Mortgage update, real estate update. Mortgage, again, Mike Overson, Luminate Bank, longtime friend, longtime partner, local bank. Just wonderful folks, really good folks. Interest rate status this week. They said that kind of the general news, they said it's been a bumpy few months with the threat of global trade wars. However, the average 30-year fixed mortgage is at 6.94, which is just a very slight decrease week over week, down 0.02. And then the 15-year fixed is at 16.1%, that 15-year. So rates very similar. And then numbers. How about some real estate numbers? New listings are pretty flat compared to last year. Really similar. There were 1,711 new listings, Scott, up close to 1%, not quite. Pending sales almost identical to last year at this time, 1,035 pending sales. And then the overall inventory year over year in the Twin Cities is up almost 5%. There now are 9,000, a little over 9,080 homes for sale. Pending sales, new listings, Scott, again, really similar numbers we've seen week over week. Some buyers, seeing a lot of buyer needs, inventory shortages, some really nice stuff selling quickly. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of the numbers came out. The numbers came out, but I was talking to a group of agents, and we're all feeling the same thing. It's relatively typical. People need to understand, that believe that the real estate market is just so incredibly busy because their neighbor's house sold in 2 minutes, and their other neighbor's house sold in 2 minutes, and so on, and not understanding that it has actually been the worst 2023 and 2024 were the worst 2 years in actual units sold. And we're kind of tracking those numbers again. So
nationally, yeah. That's nationally.
I'm sorry, nationally. So, it feels very aggressive, and it is because of the lack of inventory. But there's just not, if you only have 2 bikes to sell and not 40, you can only sell 2 bikes. And that's kind of what we're in. And we're feeling those numbers again this year. So then the question is, well, who should be actively in this market? What type of a buyer, what type of a seller can take advantage of this? What are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
I think there's never a better. I met with a young man this week. It was great. He's recently out of college, and he was talking about renting. He's living with his mom and dad, and talked about buying a home and about timing and when should he do it and all these different things. And I just said, I wish when I was your age, someone kind of bonked me on the head and said, there is never a better time than the present to buy real estate, especially here in the Twin Cities. Now, again, you've got to be in the right spot for that. I was going to share a little article here after the first break. Dave Ramsey was reading an article about the cost of home ownership and things to be aware of. So there's different things compared to renting, Scott. But I think from a buyer standpoint, there's really never a better time than the present, but you have to give yourself at least 2, 3, maybe 4 years of home ownership. Because again, there's cost to buy, there's cost to sell, and appreciation over time is not always guaranteed, but we're in a good market. So buying wise, I think there's never a better time, Scott.
Well, yeah, I hear this all the time. Oh, God, I wish I would have bought a couple years ago when rates were at 2.7%. Wrong. You wished you did not buy.
Why?
When rates were at 2%. I've done this on the show before. A 1995 split level in Lakeville in the 4 months of 2022, which everybody's talking about at 2.7%, was an average sale price of $425,000. Now that same house is an average sale price of $375,000. So you were buying a payment. Okay, this isn't a rent. You're not renting. This is purchasing real estate. You want the value of what you're purchasing to go up over time. So yes, it might feel good that you bought a house for $425,000 and your payment is at 2.7%. But if the home's only worth $375,000, you're upside down in that house, real money, $40,000, $50,000. So again, I agree with you. Right now, when rates are 7, they've been there. Housing is priced at what it is actually worth. Buy it. Over time, next year, 2 years, 3 years, wait for rates to come down, refinance. Now you've got a comfortable payment and you bought a house at the actual value.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949. What Scott just described, as well as the importance of having a really good agent to help you do a market analysis, both when you're selling your real estate, but also when you're buying your real estate, so you know what do the comparable sales say. Hey, Scott, before the break, I've got a longtime buddy of mine from New Prague, a wonderful guy, wonderful human by the name of Mr. Tom Mock, who is 50 today.
Oh, happy birthday, Tom.
5th birthday. So I'm wishing my buddy Tom a happy 50th. His dear father was my hockey coach, one of my hockey coaches, Larry Mock. He's just a great family. Tom, his wife Christy. We got 2 great kids down in New Prague, and they're just an awesome family, great people. So a big happy birthday to Mr. Thomas Mock here today, who, by the way, Scott, is a great golfer. He's one of the best golfers I know.
That's because he was a hockey player.
Probably.
No, hockey players are great golfers.
Yeah. Hey, we're up against our first break here. Text us, call us. We got Ryan in studio who was out on Lake Minnetonka last night. If we want to talk Lake Minnetonka real estate, 612-294-6949. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody.
So when you played hockey, were you like the goon? Were you like when they'd send you in to go rough people up? All right, Ryan, go get number 23, and then you got on the ice and you went out and started the fight.
So here's what happened with hockey. Hockey up until maybe high school at the time was a lot of skill based, and I was okay skill wise, but I was a really little guy. So I did pretty well up until like bantams, and then once bantams and high school rolled around, being a little guy, I just got checked out of the game. I mean, it just wasn't good. So you played though, dude.
I did not play hockey. I was a Texas kid.
Yeah.
So I moved. My dad was a colonel in the military, so we moved all over. So I moved from Killeen, Texas, which people out there that know that's Fort Hood, kind of the armpit of the world. We moved to East Grand Forks, and I was a fourth grader. So, all my friends that I met at school, they all played this thing, hockey. So anyway, so I go, well, I'm going to play hockey. So we go out there, and I got my gear on, I got my new stick, my new whatever, and I'm out there with the coach holding the stick that I had to hold on to so that I could shuffle and skate as my buddies are whipping around me backwards as fourth graders.
Oh, really?
And that was my one and only hockey practice.
Hey, we got Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection, in studio with us. A good man, a hard worker. We were talking before the show. This guy's hopping on roofs. This guy's going in basement, and you're doing all kinds of stuff. That's hard on the body.
It can be. You just gotta stay in shape.
Oh my gosh, that's stay in shape like Mr. Scott.
I do my best.
That's a different kind of shape, though. It's like it's like if you've not worked in the garden for years, and all of a sudden you go out and work in the garden. And I lift weights every day. If you go out and do that, where you can't even move the next day, because you're using
different kind of
just muscles. So going up into attics and hanging off of soffits. all the stuff that inspectors do. It's a different
I do the soffit hang.
A lot of folks joining us wherever you're seeing us on social media. Thank you. We've got already a lot of nice comments coming in. Good morning, Marcos, Kevin, Stephen, Jen. Melissa, Frank, a lot of folks. Thank you guys. Thank you for your comments.
Romper room. Shout out to everyone watching.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us wherever you're catching us. Thanks everybody for tuning in. A lot to talk about this week. We got some listings we're going to touch on and feature a little bit. We may also talk about sports a little bit. That was an interesting discussion we had, Scott. We may want to dive into that a little bit.
That was, speaking of sports, too bad for the Timberwolves. They were such a fun team to watch this year. Yeah, it was sad to see them go out.
Yeah, here we go. We're going back live on CCL. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hey, welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Every Saturday, we like to feature a number of listings of our team, the Minnesota Real Estate Team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. First one today, Bill Ebert. Bill is a great agent on the team, has got one in Edina. This is a condo for $149,900, 6423 Colony Way, number 2G. Bill said that lots of nice updates, Scott. Newer carpeting, paint, appliances, stainless steel, quartz countertops. It's a one city block from Southdale, the Fairview Medical Campus. It's close to Lake Cornelia Park, Southdale, the Galleria, lots of shops, of course. And then at the complex, there's an outdoor pool located backside of the property. For privacy of condo owners, easy access to your assigned covered garage stall too. 6423 Colony Way, number 2G in Edina. Nice property, Scott. Under 150. Not a lot out there under $150.
Not a lot with a one on it. So that's good. One thing I was talking with you about yesterday, maybe we should mention. We don't mention it a whole lot because I know you don't like to promote things but your foundation. Maybe we should talk a little bit about that because I was feeling really good about myself yesterday. I swear to God, it was a Friday. I had cleaned my apartment. I had cleaned out my car. So I was feeling very productive. I've done a lot of good. And so I called Ryan. I said, hey, what are you doing? He said, hey, I'm just going over to the DMV. I bought a car for a couple that needs it because both her and her daughter are sick and I'm like, you know what? That is a whole nother. That's why all the women in my life are like, why can't you be more like Ryan O'Neill? But maybe talk about what you did yesterday and your foundation, so people can get involved.
Well,
It's incredible.
You're too kind. It is a group effort. It's a community effort, but we have, it's called the O'Neill Foundation of Hope. Every week we work to help a number of different people in our community. This week, kind of our story of hope to share is a mother and daughter who, the mom has cancer, very kind of aggressive, serious cancer. The daughter also has two different serious illnesses. They need to go down to Mayo every week. They had no vehicle, no reliable vehicle. And so we had a generous donor who stepped in to donate the car to the foundation. The foundation, then we met with them yesterday, gave them the car. So they now
And they're jacked, of course.
Yeah.
They're super happy.
And so they're super happy. So it's just, it kind of puts things on a different perspective when you think about there's so many really good people out there with multiple hardships. You know what I mean? It's one thing to lose your job, but it's another thing to lose your job when you have cancer or a serious medical issue going on. So again, o'neillhope.org. We appreciate your support in many ways, whether volunteering with us, financially. It's a 501c3, and again, we've been grateful enough to help over probably 150 families in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So thank you though, Scott. Thanks for the shout out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Wonderful mother-daughter. And again, there's no donation too small. We take everything, and it's we're just grateful for spreading the word about the foundation, bud.
That's right. Yeah, good deal. And it's one of those things where because they're local. And and obviously, if you've listened to our show forever, you might not trust me that much, but you trust Ryan. You know that the money's going where it's supposed to be, and it's just fun to watch. Where you can actually reach out and kind of touch and feel the people that it's helping.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for that. By the way, this last quick note on this, Scott. This dear mom and daughter I met through Kathy, my mom Kathleen, who met them down in New Prague. And so it's kind of a family connection there too.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. So we've got, again, we welcome your questions, comments, thoughts, 612-294-6949 at any point. We've got Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. This one's a timely one. Text message that came in. No name on this one. That just says, do you as the inspector always get on the roof when you do a home inspection, Steve?
Anytime that's possible, absolutely. There's a difference between being able to look at it from, with a drone or some other versus being on there. So as long as it's not too steep and the conditions are right, absolutely going to walk it. But there are some roofs that just can't. So you need alternate strategies to be able to get a really good look at it.
Yeah, I never thought about that. So, 'cause obviously in the middle of, let's just say you have an ice storm and then you're doing an inspection the next day and you've got a 60-degree pitched roof. You're not going to get up there on the roof.
No.
So do you use drones now? Is that kind of what you do as a secondary?
Those are real common. I personally don't. I have a different means of getting my camera there.
Okay.
Drones are great, except for they do have limitations. There's near the airport, you can't use it. There's just some limitations. Weather, windy days.
That's true. You can't use them because when I fly my drones over there, they get pissed.
Well,
yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Most drones too have a GPS, and they won't let you take off in a restricted area. So, but anyway, yes, there are conditions where it's just not feasible to walk a roof. In those cases, you can still learn stuff. Get into an attic. You see the bottom side of it.
Yeah, you think about the drone, Scott. So I have a neighbor in Bloomington who took the drone in our neighborhood. It was kind of cool. And we have a Facebook group, a Facebook group. And
who's in charge of that Facebook group?
I set it up.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
No, did you really?
Oh man,
that's crazy.
That can't be Ryan.
I can't believe that.
Can't be Ryan who did that. Hey, let's divert enough jib jab from us. Let's go to Mr. Alan, who is in St. Paul. Alan, thanks for calling the Minnesota Real Estate Show. And how can we help?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that, you guys sound pretty good there. And I was thinking about possibly selling my house here going forward. I don't know when, maybe some kind of year from now or something like that, possibly. But just wondered, because Scott, do you yourself come to like in St. Paul, you know, like, do you do it yourself, or do you put somebody else on it, or how does it go? Because, I mean, what if I want to do?
Well, I'll tell you what, Alan, that always varies, but for you, I will personally do it myself. And no, it's a great question. We're asked this a lot because we do the show. Trust me, we make a living by selling real estate. That's how we keep our lights on. So yes, personally, if you wanted me to help you, I'd be more than happy to come out and do an analysis on your house and kind of tell you where you would be. And I would love to work with you. How long have you listened to the show?
Oh, he's gone.
Is
was
he
good.
gone?
Yeah.
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 It is an issue. We get asked that a lot. Yes. It depends. In this particular case, if it was a request for me, I would do it. But we have 230 agents.
Isn't that nice? He requested you,
Yes.
though, Scott.
Yes, through the years, I'll get a call and they'll say, "So are you the one that laughs, or are you the one that makes people laugh?" I said, "I think I'm the one that makes people laugh."
Really? I've never heard you say that.
Yes.
That's funny. That's super funny. Yeah. He sounded like a fun guy. I
Alan?
liked it. Yeah.
He sounds like a guy that you're gonna go over and spend a little time in the garage just hanging out.
Yeah,
chit-chatting.
I mean, yeah, I'll be my kind of guy.
Yeah, we love it. It's interesting though, because people, wherever you're listening, whether it is inner city St. Paul or wherever, I mean, we literally work the Minnesota real estate team. We work all over the state of Minnesota and Western Wisconsin, and all price ranges too. I mean, Scott, has helped everyone in all price ranges, but he's got a over $2 million listing down in the southern part of the Twin Cities, and we help a first-time buyer, whether it's under 100,000 or so it's all ranges.
Well, and I'm glad you bring that up because it happens at least once a year where, I will get a call from someone that will be like, "Hey, Scott, Susie, who is their daughter, just bought this townhome." And I'm like, "What the heck?" And they're like, "Well, we didn't think you messed with townhomes." I'm like, "Trust me, not everybody has $1 million house." Real estate agents make their living in the meat and potatoes price ranges, that 250 to 500 price range. So yes, we do. I mean, I will drive to St. Cloud for a $125,000 condo. I mean, that's what we do for a living.
Yeah, it is. When you reach out to agents, for the most part, my experience is the vast majority of realtors are what I would call a generalist, where they work kind of all over. Now, there are certain agents with all of the very good companies here in the Twin Cities that maybe they focus a lot of their listing business in a neighborhood or in a city. That is rarer, Scott, where people do that. But there's some really good folks that we know them. We see their signs with all the good companies that do a lot in areas. But for the most part, you just want the right person helping you as a buyer or seller.
Well, what's made that really change, when I got in the business in 1998, it was a little bit more area and market driven, because it was harder to advertise in areas that you were not in. Versus now, 99% of our advertisement is all internet driven. So you can really cover any part of the Twin Cities, and you're going to be as effective as an agent that lives in that area. Now, one of the downfalls that can happen is if you live in New London Spicer, and I'm in Lakeville, and somebody wants to show your house and they want me to show it, it gets a little bit harder because you got to drive 50 minutes or an hour to go in and show that property. But outside of that, most agents can handle wherever.
Hey, we're up against, we're at the halfway point in the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Before we break, however, Miss Jen Tischliter, great agent on the team, Remax Advantage Plus, Scott has one in Lakeville, 19165 Jewel Path in Lakeville for $465. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath. It's a large walkout rambler, and there's the ability to add a 5th bedroom with the egress window. Huge 0.75 acre lot, lots of trees fenced in. You love that Lakeville School District. It's near Lake Marion Park shopping freeways. Again, available for a quick closing as well. Jen said 19165 Jewel Path in Lakeville, $465,000. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hey, thanks for joining us. Got a lot of folks tuning in this week. So you're the one makes people laugh, and I'm the one.
Yeah, it was actually the last one.
That's funny.
Was a guy in Egan that said that. And
Oh, really?
We got Laurel Hardy or Abbott Costello.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Mr. Steve, we were talking about, I think about, home inspections, and it's a credit to your business that, again, you are busy, Steve. It's just like any business that Steve was talking about. He's got online scheduling, so agents can go schedule stuff on there, and you can only set up so much, though, Steve. You can only have so much. You're only one human.
I'm a business of one person, and yes, I have limited availability compared to a lot of other inspection firms that have multiple inspectors and more capacity, but it's just me.
It's just you.
Yeah.
But we love you, Steve.
Well, thank you.
We love you. Scott, by the way, we were talking a little bit before the break about sports. Scott was a star tennis player.
I was.
Star, and you realized you were going to be playing in Wimbledon.
Well, we were just talking about kids in sports and, how aggressive the coaches are and, the percentage of athletes that make it to play Division I or just play college in general,
Yeah.
or that make it to the pros is so limited that, I've got girls that are 5'1", and the intensity around them playing, athletics, I was always like, come on, guys, they're not going Division I. There's other things in life besides that. But one of the hit between the eyes things for me when I was 13, 14, I was nationally ranked in tennis.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, and of course,
Oh
and of course, when you're that age, I was 100%. I'm going to be a professional tennis player for sure.
You are.
And then I played in a open division tournament in Texas and got just rocked. I mean, these guys were so much better than me.
Really?
And so it was that kind of hits you that there's a lot of very good players in the world. And East Grand Forks and Bemidji is just a very, very small, teeny part of our country.
Steve, are you a good sports player?
I enjoyed them all. I never was going to be confused with someone who might have a professional career, but certainly enjoy it.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. I had a question come in. Are you guys seeing a lot of staging of listings, or are most properties vacant? A lot of staging, Scott? Have you seen a lot of staging?
Most are vacant unless you're over, I'd say 750 and above.
So under 750 vacant. Photos, what do you think about photos with that, with vacant pictures, seeing them online?
They're not as great. I mean, vacant homes have a really hard time selling. People have a hard time visualizing what's in there.
Yeah.
General public thinks it's completely different.
Yeah.
They won't see our furniture. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Here we go. We're going back live on air. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Welcome back to the second half of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate you joining us. Again, every week we like to hit some of our listings. One other one in Jordan, Scott. Jen Tischlitter's got one at 1072 Shoreview Drive in Jordan for $464,900. She said it's better than new construction. It's a 2-story home, and it's got updated hardware, lighting, smart home technology. 4-bed, 3-bath, has an upper level laundry and a loft, unfinished lower level ready for your personal touches. There's community pool parks, basketball courts, and it overlooks a serene pond with incredible sunset views. Be sure to check that out. Again, that is 1072 Shoreview Drive in Jordan. Scott,
what was that one priced at?
$464,990.
$464,990.
$464,990. Had a question come in. How would each of you summarize the real estate market? I think the market is ridiculously high. Please give your opinions. Thank you very much, Jerry. Hey, Jerry, thanks for listening to the show. Scott, what do you think?
I would disagree with Jerry. I don't think it's ridiculously high. I think it is, if you take a look at our appreciation over the last 3-4 years, it has been, in that 4 to 6% range. That's a very reasonable appreciation that's been moving along. It's high because of a limited inventory. But I will tell you this: if we went from 8,000 homes to 12,000 or 14,000 homes, we're not going to have a reset in value at that. And so, what we like to see is what we're seeing. A 4, 5, 6% appreciation, understanding that more like 9 to 10% of that is front loaded on things under 500, and then things from 600 to $1 million are probably at about 1-2%, and things that are over $1 million are probably 0.5% to 1%. And so that's a very, very easy movement. We don't want to go back to years like 2021 and 2001, where we were appreciating at 15% a year for 7 years. That's why we had the reset. That's wacky. You can't keep up with that. But right now it's a very, very easy flow. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my quick thoughts is limited inventory, very limited inventory, all price ranges and areas in the Twin Cities. I am a huge believer again, Jerry, there's never a better time than the present to buy. I have personally lived that example over 25 years. There were many times where people told me, hey, prices are high. They can't keep going up. Things are expensive. Time heals a lot of wounds with real estate values and other things.
There's always another season. these are Ryanisms I hear every day. Scott, there's always another season.
This is just a season.
Just a season.
This is just a season. But so true. Sellers, I think it's a great time for sellers to
The
sell.
third best sellers year ever to sell.
Just because there's not a lot of inventory. There's not a lot, but you can't overprice.
No.
Buyers are not dumb. They and their agent are going to see what is this thing really worth. Plus, homes have to appraise now. There's an appraisal compared to 2005. The bad time when there was really no appraisal. So
Yeah, it's hard. Of course, everybody that out there that's listening to this said, well, yeah, but if I had waited until 2006 and bought my homes then, well, of course, if we had a crystal ball, but real estate is it's not a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year plan. It's a long over time plan. So Ryan's example is great. He bought up most of his investment properties between 2003 and 2005. If you had gone to any expert in real estate and say, what would be the worst time to ever buy real estate for investment? They would say between 2003 and 2005. So was it a crazy, stupid investment? No, here we are 25 years later. Properties have come back. They've gone up in value. It only becomes an issue if you have to exit. If you have yourself in a situation where you have to dump properties at a time where you shouldn't be dumping properties.
yeah. Again, 612-294-6949. Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. You have been a kind partner with the Minnesota Real Estate Show, also known as the Handsome Bald Guy at mnrealestateshow.com. That is self-coined by you there, Steve, right?
It's a differentiator. You got to find something to help people remember you.
Every time I see you, I keep thinking, we got to buy that URL for Steve.
Handsome bald guy.
Handsome Bald Guy. The Handsome Bald Guy. Steve, what's cooking, man? What's new in your world?
I'm staying quite busy. So I'm very grateful for that. One piece of advice I'd give to current homeowners, snow's gone, get outside. I'm sure people are looking at things. Take a critical look at your own deck. Things that I see, if the deck is more than 10, 15 years old, you're going to have decay or, things are just not, maybe not quite so sturdy. And we've got different materials and connectors and things that we use today. So it'd probably be a good idea to get out there and do a refresh.
Yeah, again, decks, Scott, we had the question earlier about roofs as well. Interior wise, Steve, are most agents with you during the home inspection with the buyer, or talk about that? Is the buyer with you, the agent with you?
I would say of course, I invite everybody to be there at any time. But what's most common is they typically show up for the last hour, 45 minutes or so for a full review and a download and questions and answers. So that's most typical. And do the realtor show up? I'd say that's kind of 50-50. Some do, many don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally, and every agent's different. Personally, I show up, Steve knows, kind of after the major items. Looked at the roof, looked at the mechanicals, things that are going to kind of be
Anything that really stands out.
Yeah, something that's going to be an actual deal killer that I might need to get involved in. If those things are clear, then the rest of it's typically just kind of maintenance things, understanding how the property works, and I'm not there for that.
Yeah, again, Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection, the Handsome Bald Guy. Steve, any other thoughts, tips for either buyers, sellers, or just current homeowners right now?
Well, aside from the decks, I look back to things that I find in every house, and I tend to steer towards safety items. And one thing that I find house after house after house, are smoke alarms that are 25 years old. It's like, get rid of them. Don't let your life depend on an old, worn out alarm that just won't work anymore. So is that a big deal with a home inspection? Not really, but it's like house after house after house. I'm just shocked that, I'll find the 25, 30-year-old smoke alarm.
Yeah, you think about that as a homeowner, just all the little things that you need to do maintenance wise. This Dave Ramsey article that I saw talked about some additional costs and things you got to be aware of as a homeowner. But you think about that, Steve and Scott, just not updating. I mean, that's a safety, obviously carbon monoxide too.
Yep.
I mean, you probably see the same thing with those too.
We've gotten a little better with that, but yes, carbon monoxide alarms are required within 10 feet of any bedroom. I am the overprotective dad whose kids own houses. And guess what? Every year for Christmas, I'm giving them a new smoke alarm or a new carbon monoxide alarm. It's like, they roll their eyes because they know it's coming. But
well, like every Christmas, Dad comes over.
It's one of those things that here's a new alarm, because it just is. It's one of my, what do you call it? It's one of my triggers.
Well,
Sure.
think about that though, Scott. Before you go to like Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, Steve comes over. He's got his Win Home Inspection shirt. He says, "Hold on, guys, I know we're hungry." And he does a full-blown inspection.
Yes.
Right there, do a full-blown
Everybody goes
reports,
through.
pictures, detail, your engineering brain.
It is
shines through.
hard. It is hard to visit other people's houses and keep my mouth shut.
Oh, right.
I've learned to stifle that. So yeah.
That's funny. Hey, before our final break here, I'm going to give a little food for thought thing. This is something. There's a lot of realtors that listen to the show, and there's hopefully a lot of people listening on the radio today. So if you're listening on the radio, 612-294-6949, you can tell me what you think when you hear this statement. So I was at a party,
Okay.
and a gentleman came up to me.
Thanks for the invite, by the way,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
I see what kind of friend I am.
Gentleman came up to me and said his neighbor's house just went on the market and it sold in the first day.
Sold in the first day.
It sold in the first day. So when I say that, what is your thought? Is your thought, is that a positive thought? Did he get a lot for his home? Did he have to give it away, the poor guy, because it sold in one day and he just had to get rid of it? And so what do you think when I say that? Your neighbor's house sold in one day on the market or 2 days on the market.
Okay.
What comes to your mind when I say that?
Okay. Call us or text us at 612-294-6949 with your thoughts before our final break, and then continuing the discussion with Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. Got a great listing. This one's in Brainerd, guys. Edward Schultz, awesome agent on the Minnesota real estate team and Remax Advantage Plus, has one at 3860 Moberg Lane, 429.9. And this very cool property, it's framed inside for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-level condo facing the lake. It's floor-to-ceiling windows looking out on Moberg Lake. Scott, the owner, added additional windows to let even more light in. Heated floor throughout the unit, including the huge garage floor. And there's approximately 2,500 square feet of open garage space. Garage storage space for boats, snowmobiles, ATVs, classic cars. It's in the heart of the Brainerd Lakes area, minutes from the Gull chain. Check out the photos. I was looking at the photos of this, a really cool listing, 3860 Moberg Lane in Brainerd for 429.9. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see, comments. Realtor comment here. Steve says you priced it correctly. That's the first comment.
Yeah. I'll tell you what the gentleman's since we're off air. I'll tell you what the gentleman had said to me. Is the basic premise was my poor neighbor.
Yeah, your poor neighbor
had to sell his house and it sold in the first 2 days. Obviously he had to give it away, and that was kind of the conversation, was that the seller, because he sold it in 2 days, had to give it away, and unfortunate for him because he did not maximize the amount of money that he could have got on the property.
Yeah, this one, knowing you guys, what you talk about, it sounds like maybe the property was priced correctly.
Yeah, not only was it priced correctly, it's a different mindset, because when you talk to the general public, I've heard this through the years multiple times.
Yeah.
And that is what the general public thinks. They think my neighbor's home sold in 2 days, and so they got less than they needed for it because they had to sell it. And of course, as an agent, we immediately know not only did they not get less for the house,
Yeah.
they absolutely maxed out the possibility of the most that they could possibly get for that house. Now, if it had sold 3 weeks later, they did not get what they should have gotten for the house. They got less for it. And that always does not make sense to the general public, because they don't do this every day.
Had a question, again, about sump pumps. Should every sump pump have a backup as well? Backup battery?
That's just a darn good idea.
Yeah,
Backup battery or a secondary pump in case you lose main power. Have another pump ready to go. They just put them down in the basket, and it's driven by like a car battery.
I wonder why they don't put that in automatically. You know what I mean? Like there probably are systems like that.
Yeah, cost. I mean, it's not a trivial expense, and if your sump pit isn't very active, well, why do I want to spend another $500-600?
Good point. Okay, maybe.
But to me, that's just a few $100 as an insurance policy that when you lose power, it's still going to work. I think that's a trivial expense.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. So now when you're building new construction, we can get you on the air with them.
Requirement.
Requirement
Yeah.
to put in a passive radon system.
Yeah.
So a radon system is nothing more than a tube that goes into below the concrete, that goes out through a venting system, typically through the roof, but it can go wherever.
Yeah.
And but they do not put in a fan, which makes it an active system. The fans are about what, $180?
If
Yeah.
If that, $150. So of course, why wouldn't you do that? Because $150
Yeah.
that no one's going to really understand that
Yeah.
the builder saves. Because of course you put the fan in. I mean, that's what makes the system work.
You put the fan in.
Well, yeah, but they don't, because you're saving $150, and it's one of those things that people won't notice
Do you ever, as the agent, put the fan in?
all the time.
There's a lot of things in
Steve.
houses that aren't required, like gutters are not required, but a good idea.
Gutter helmet.
Same thing.
What do you think about gutter helmet?
I think any sort of cover over the gutters is a good idea.
Yeah, helmet. Scott Werner. Yep. Here we go. Oh, we're back. Well, welcome back to the final segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Miss Melissa Martinez has got an open house today, Scott. 3241 46th Avenue South in Minneapolis, 334-9. The open house is today from 12 to 2. It's a 1.5-story cottage style home. It's 3 beds, 1 bath, huge deck in the back to enjoy the peaceful private gardens. Gorgeous refinished hardwood floors, original woodwork, new carpets, new paint, fresh paint throughout, inside and out, a new roof, windows. It's a very well cared for home in the desirable Cooper neighborhood. It's steps away from the West River Parkway and 1 block from Minnehaha Academy. 334-9, 3241 46th Avenue South in Minneapolis. Melissa Martinez is doing open house today, 12 to 2. We've got a caller here who called the Minnesota Real Estate Show, Brian from Andover. Brian, thanks so much for calling, and how can we help?
No problem. You were talking about selling a home in one day on the market, and I'm a realtor as well myself. And the first thing I think of is it was priced appropriately.
Yeah, oops. Hey, Brian, appreciate you calling in. This is Scott Wolmering. That's exactly it. And I won't belabor this idea, but I hear it all the time. And the gentleman that made the comment, it was like my poor neighbor, he sold his house in one day. He obviously had to sell it. And so in his mind, he got less than what he would have gotten for the market. Obviously, any realtor in the business is like, not only did they get the most for the house, they got the most possibly that they could ever get for it. Because if you were on the market for 3 weeks, you did not get the most money. And that is so hard for people to understand, because it's the old thought of, I'm going to start high. I can always drop lower and get my number. And it's the complete reversal. So if your neighbor's house sold in 2-3 days, like I've said this before, the average realtor's house is on the market for 6 days. So if I sell my personal house and I'm a realtor, the average realtor's house sells in 6 days because we understand that is the volume of people. That is the group of people that have been looking at that price range. So when you launch, when you go on, they flood the house. They've seen everything in that price range. So if you're going to get your top dollar, you're going to get it then. 3 weeks later, it's filtered. You understand you're not going to get that number anymore. It's gone. If you would have got it, you would have got it immediately.
Yeah, again, thank you, Brian. Thanks for reaching out to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. Last thoughts for folks. Again, you're a wonderful inspector, trusted. Certainly can encourage any of our listeners, fellow agents, buyers, sellers, can encourage you more to reach out to Steve. There's a reason he is busy and booked because he performs a great service. Last thoughts for folks.
Well, if you are a buyer in the market, as you are putting in an offer, reach out to an inspector, get on their calendar. And that's a little bit tight too, or difficult because you don't have an accepted offer, but go out and ping and find out what the schedule looks like, because you're going to be up against a clock once your offer is accepted. You have 5 days or 10 days. So you want to be searching for that inspector right away.
Steve, best way for folks to find you?
My phone number is 952-891-4455, but by far the easiest way is to get on the website for the radio show, mnrealestateshow.com. I like how you've got your preferred partners. To click on that, drop down, look for home inspectors, and that handsome bald guy's face is going to be there. That's me.
He's right there.
Yeah, Scott, how about something for you? How about the handsome
Short guy?
handsome late 50s?
Yeah, the guy under 5'9" guy. Yeah, that'll sell it.
That's not
Let's
bad.
make that a URL.
The handsome funny guy.
Yeah,
Hey.
the handsome under 5'8".
Hey, Ryan, we got to get you on. So, Ryan, before the show, I was talking to my dear friend Ryan here. You know, my dad used to always do this. I always wondered as a kid, I'm like, why does my dad do this? But not always having a total full head of hair. Ryan, you can't see him online, but he's got this just full head of hair. And I said, let that thing grow, Ryan. I love it.
It's got to get cut. You know, I got to look somewhat presentable. It's the flow, as they say. It's working right now, but I'm very seasonal with my haircuts and the summer cut. The spring cut is wearing out. Now the summer cut needs to happen. And it gets hot out there with all this.
What does
hair.
your lady friend say, though?
She says, don't cut it.
Don't cut it.
Don't
Exactly.
cut it.
Exactly. They always say that, right? Yeah, you look like a guy from the Bachelor Party movie, where they went to Vegas.
Bachelor
Yeah,
party.
he won the sexiest man in the world. What's his
Bradley
name?
Cooper.
Bradley Cooper.
Wow.
Yes.
Bradley Cooper's there.
Jeez. Now you are the funny guy.
We're going to notice our ratings all of a sudden.
Just
People,
boom.
especially online, people are being like, oh my gosh, we want to see enough of Scott
Yes,
Ryan.
we're going to go for the dozens of listeners.
Oh man, hey, it has been a fun show. Scott, Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. Steve, great job today, bud, as
I
always.
appreciate it, and it's always a great time. I learn a lot just by hanging out with you guys about this market.
Yeah, Scott, last thoughts for folks?
Yeah, I mean, we hopefully enjoyed the show today, but Ryan's point is exactly that. Right now, I cannot stress enough, guys. It is the time to buy. We are in one of those times where we don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. But my thought is, and I think Mike Overson, if he was there, would back me up, over the next year, we're going to see those drop into the 5s. You want to own a home before it does that. You don't want to be buying when it goes to 5 1/4. You want to be buying now. And then when it goes to 5 1/4, then jump on it and refinance.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are grateful for you. Hope you have a great June, a great weekend. Again, happy birthday to my friend Tom Mock. And a shout out as well to Linda Hip, who has a great rodeo going all this weekend in Waconia. To check that out. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Again, had some other very nice comments. Thank you to let's see here. Thank you again to Steve, Kevin, Mark, Tom, Jen, and Mandy. Let's see, Melissa and Lisa. Thank you all. Yeah, thanks for your nice comments. I really appreciate it. And yeah, a special shout out. Linda Hip has got a great rodeo event going on. She's sponsoring it. So that will be very cool. Very cool for Miss Linda. You spent time on the trip with Linda Hip.
Yeah, in Mexico with Linda and her daughter. They're great. Linda's a riot, and this rodeo it's in like Victoria or Waconia, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Waconia. Sorry.
Yep.
I was just seeing another text come in. Waconia.
Waconia, and she's involved in it. Great person, great agent, by the way. So if you have that need and you're in that area, Linda Hip would be somebody I'd hook my horses to.
Yeah, and I just saw a text message come in as well. Wanted to give a shout out. That question, the question was from Brian Engel. He's a realtor with eXp Realty, Chris Fritch team. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you reaching out too. So it was a fun show. Steve, good work, bud.
Thank you. Go out and enjoy it. It's almost June.
Oh, it's gonna be so
Tomorrow's
nice
June.
today.
Yeah, have a great weekend. I'm off to the a little birthday party right now. So
Oh,
little
sure.
birthday party. All right, have a good day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.